of one, this is the most important, 2, 3, 4, and here we rated this and scored them. You know, it may not be official, I got it, but some general notion. So we can at least have something to say about why a camera goes here, but it doesn't go there. And why that camera was number 4, but that's number 11. It would help me if we're going to desire 20 grand on it, which I'm sure we want to fight crime. Sir?
Just as a resident and not a member of the board, I would say that it's imperative that we have that kind of prioritization in place and we understand the criteria, because if we don't, and a camera selection is made for a place with our dollars that have contributed to it over another one where a crime actually is committed and someone gets harmed, I would be concerned about blowback.
So can I ask a question, Peggy? Are they?
No, I mean,
It's almost inevitable.
it's not right. I mean, it's impossible to say, you would need a camera in front of every single house to say, because crime could happen.
That doesn't mean before it's
Right,
out.
but
No, I
But what
don't.
strategy are they using? Are they going, in security, there are definite strategies that are used. One of them is security perimeter. One of them is secondary access points. And these types of security concerns, it would be good, I think, to know for the community, what approach are they using? Not that you're validating an approach over the other, just which one are they choosing to apply? And is it applied consistently?
I just have a quick question, if I could. Do we have a sense of, let's say, 2 years from now, a year from now, 3 years from now, when we look back on the installation of the cameras, how will we measure sort of the success of that, if that's possible? Like, do we have a sense of what data we will be acquiring and how we will know, whether or not, this is actually helping or not helping, or is that something that we've given some thought to?
The police have given considerable thought to that. I think they evaluated that with a comparison and a lot of discussion with other cities, like London, that's got massive camera coverage, about how to make the video integration center here most effective and to get the most value out of each camera they install. So yes, the police have done that analysis to considerable depth as part of their planning for the VIC. I
So
have
that
not
makes sense.
set out to
That makes-
second guess.
that makes
the
sense
police
to
about
me,
it.
to
I mean,
value-
it's their business.
To measure the effectiveness of the VIC, not the effectiveness of every single camera. Because if you place the cameras in the right place, then the overall program
Right.
is effective. But, that your question of how will they not be measurement of every single camera and what.
Well, no, right, I mean, I guess what I'm wondering is, if 3 years from now, 5 years from now, there's a request for 6 more cameras, how will we know that what we've done thus far has been helpful or has actually produced the results that, does that make sense, like what we were hoping for? And I hear you saying that the Police Foundation has done that or has done an analysis. Is that accessible to me, for example, or to anybody? Is that in a place where we can read it?
I don't know. I don't know about how they justified the VIC at the time they set it up, and I don't know the statistics that they're using to evaluate performance of the VIC.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think to me it's about justifying the VSC. If you're going to have cameras, you got to have a center to watch them, and you need to record it. So that doesn't strike me as an issue. What would be helpful to me is if the question that Todd posed was a little more answerable. I agree that no matter where one puts a camera, and an incident will inevitably occur somewhere else. I would like to say, here's the logic. The police looked at these 3 factors. These are the factors they looked at generally. And that would, I feel like it's this board's duty to understand that, at least broadly, before we say, here's $20,000, thanks, Alex. But I'm also curious about, they picked, maybe understandably, commercial areas to put their cameras in, because that's where a lot of spectacular, oft talked about crimes occur. So where is our money going? Where's our money and Alex's going? We're matching Alex's money, and it's going to go to put up 3 cameras. And I would kind of like to have a sense of what the 3 that we got to are, and what the next 3 on the list are. And they don't have to justify it down to the nth, but just a broad statement of why this one got on there, and why there's not one in front of Tim's house. There's not one in front of my house, but there is one at this intersection. And then if the answer's not perfectly, the question's not perfectly answerable, that's okay too. I would just like the answer to be, we're being intuitive here. And that would be okay with me, believe it or not. Or some combination, but if it's, when I hear it's crime analysis, well, that's fine. Then I'm with Mr. Sharp, what's the analysis? And that would help me. But even a prioritized list.
I will send out the map of the cameras, the list of the 6 in order recommended locations, and the contact information for Jessica Masters with APF. And if you would just let me know when you would anticipate bringing this to a vote, and that would be great.
I just wanted to add too that since hearing Alex talk about it, I think that supporting this tactic is a good idea. But I do feel that having the data so that we can write an article about it and explain to people, and the crime has been top of mind for everyone, and that this is one thing the association is doing based on this information, and we'll report back if we can, and to find out that there are any success measures, we'll report those back as evidence for consideration of future cameras if that's a tactic we want to continue, and that also looking into the other tactics for safety beyond that we will consider, but this being one tactic with the data behind it, I think. And again, I've always felt like, thank you, Alex, and we should do it and just make sure that we can explain it to the citizens.
I'll get Jessica's email right after.
I wonder, would it be something that Jessica be able to have a conversation with us at the next meeting?
Well, we could set up a meeting. I'm not sure. I don't mind doing a meeting. I think we ought to, if we're going to do this, we ought to write an article explaining it, because we're not the only curious kids in the kingdom here. So everybody's going to have these questions, and the more comprehensive job we can do.
Or if she could outline something for us to review.
I would love that, because, and I would appreciate it if the note included, here are the strengths of this approach, and here's how we think this can work, and here are the weaknesses of this approach. It's okay to have weaknesses. Every system has weaknesses. Let's just go ahead and self-identify them and say what they are. And the last question that's before us is, you mentioned the advantages of being in the VIC, and those sound clear to me. I didn't hear Emily doubt those, but if you were, they sound clear to me. I think obviously if you got cameras, you want to see them. The question is, we have some citizens who have banded together, a few by Robin, a few by Mr. Moriarty Street, who have banded together to start collecting money for their own set of cameras, and those are purely residential ventures. And I'm open to an argument that we as VHCA ought to be trying to think about how to enhance the citizen, and particularly the citizen-based initiatives for those who want to do it. And I don't know what that means, so that it's not a hint at something broad at all, because there's a limit to what this board can spend. But, sir.
Maybe perhaps instead of focusing on what the board can spend, maybe one thing we could do is focus on the standards that are required to integrate it, so that maybe civilians in residential areas could have cameras that they're investing in that could add to what is happening.
Those exist, don't they?
Yeah.
Don't they?
Yes, those
That's what
exist,
Jeff
are
talked
about.
servers available.
But I'm not sure everybody's on the streets knows about those and is thinking about them, and that.
And realistically, to put in a really high-quality camera system at your own house and integrate it with the VIC and have several of those happen on the street is going to be a more cost-effective way to approach this for a street. And would get you better cover.
It goes back to the coverage model and analysis too, because if I'm certainly not an expert, I have a little bit of exposure from past life, but if they have high resolution, highly capable cameras at certain choke points within the neighborhood, and then they're plugged in with residential systems that can feed data but may not be as high resolution, but you can still discern what the officer was talking about at the beginning of the meeting between whether it's a white Dodge Charger or it's a gold Toyota or it's a black sedan, and then you pick it up with the high-resolution camera when it goes around a corner, you can still piece all that mesh together and give a consistent timeline and therefore a much better coverage model by following that. So if that's their intent, then that's
So-
outstanding.
Kay Stevenson, who's working with the safety committee on this initiative, has that data and is very interested in promoting that. So I think that's a fine idea. And if you don't have Kay's information, I'd be happy to give it to you. You can contact her directly.
Well, I'd like the safety committee to do it. I don't want all of us to have to chase K individually. I mean, this is, we have a report from the planning committee here, and we have a long report from the Summerfest. So I'd like the planning committee to acquire, summarize, the safety committee to acquire, and summarize this and put it in a form for everybody. Because it's going to be the basis of the article we write. I mean, that we're going to write when we do this, and that's going to be what we've got in there. And I mean, I don't want to be the person writing that article after the fact, trying to chase that info that we should have had up front. Sorry, David, go ahead.
Hey, really quick, hopefully this is a simple question, we can parlay it. Is the ultimate goal here for prevention or for prosecution?
Both. But it's more for following up. For
Because I
instance,
gotta be honest, I haven't found a single study, and I've done a lot of research that says that this is, and I'm not going against it, but it's even effective in terms of either prevention or prosecution.
so I know Emily particularly is not not strong on anecdotes, but as it happens, my bicycle was stolen a couple of weeks ago. I got a call from a police officer, I reported it, and about 10 days later, a police officer called me up, and he said, we were looking through data as a result of some bicycle thefts, and we went through the VIC and found video of your bicycle being stolen, and we've identified the person who stole your bicycle, and we're tracking him down. Now, I don't have my bicycle back, but
There's
I
hope.
found that
Yeah.
encouraging, and out of the 3 people they identified through a whole series of
Right.
videos of bicycles being stolen around an area, they had apprehended 2 individuals so far, and we're working on the 3rd.
Okay. I mean, if anyone
So
knows of
that's
any
kind
data
of
that
the
actually
purpose.
is
But
out there that proves that it's effective, I'd like to see that, but outside of that, I'm fine.
The reason I hate anecdote, I joined Ms. Gilbert in hating anecdotes, is we all tend to have anecdotes that are in support of our core position, which is just human nature. So, I mean, I noticed that we have spectacular video of the cars driving into the Threadsies there, and no apprehensions. But spectacular video of the individuals in masks and their stolen car and all of that. And that, I conclude from that, nothing about the effectiveness of cameras. It doesn't tell me, it's a data point, and it just doesn't tell me a thing. So
actually, I was just really pleased at the way the police department responded. It's a good thing. They're doing a good job on that for me.
yeah, I still think my previous sentence stands untouched. I agree, I'm glad they did a good job. So if we can get that back, I'd like to resolve this at the next meeting. I mean, that would get the 30-day lead period or whatever it's gonna take to go in, and let's try to get it going. Because I think there's gonna be support for it on this board. And so if we could get these questions answered, I think that would move it right along. And I do think having access, maybe having a meeting, whether it's a board meeting or not, with the police foundation person, maybe the public meeting would be good, so that everybody can.
I only suggested that if we need, positive questions needed to be here, because it would be a shame to have a long, back and forth email dialogue, and then we get to the next meeting and there's one thing, oh, well, what about this?
Well, that's
And
why a
then we
meeting would be
postpone it,
helpful.
right, to
Yeah.
postpone it another time.
No, we're not gonna do that. That's why a meeting would be helpful. You bring your thoughts to that. You don't say, oh, I'm sorry, I thought of something else here. Wait, that's not what we do.
We actually had a very good meeting with Jessica and a colleague of hers. We had 3 pages of questions. They were able to answer the 3 pages worth of questions. And they're working very actively to promote this, so they may very well be willing to come
I think
and
that'd be good.
answer additional
I'd like to
questions.
do it separately than the board meeting, because then there'll be under the pressure of our trying to get everything done right after Summerfest. So. All right, well, thank you for that. Is there any other last comments on that? We hope to take this up next month. That's what I'd like to do, and have it personally at least. There's a calendar in here. Any comments or questions about the calendar? been through your business. Is there anything else in front of us? Any last comment on the safety issue? I didn't mean to cut it off if there is. All right, absent that, I will ask the board, and I will say that this meeting is going to go into recess, and I'm asking the board to stick around for an executive session. And we will thank everybody who's not on the board for coming tonight. See you all very, very soon.